Je vais parler de what's okay to do when you're fired, or in the case of the infamous financial samurai, fake retired. Lord, I do love these ever-growing terms of endearments in the fire community, so I gotta comment on one named fake retired, right? Hey, XenPuck here. So, one of the OGs of personal finance blogs that I've read on the internet has been this financial samurai guy, right? He's a little mathy, a little preachy, and frankly his worldview fits the type of circles that I know well, which is to say that of the essentially upper middle class aspiring professional, right? I mean, it also doesn't hurt that I found out the samurai himself early retired with a pretty hefty nest egg, actually quite a few years before I pulled the plug myself, right? So I've been seeing articles of his pop up here and there for the last decade, and I definitely count myself as a fan, even if I don't agree with some of his more shocking claims, such as the infamous budget breakdown on his blog that he did for people who made over 300K living in the coastal bubble areas, who claims to be just scraping by, okay? Because that one was total BS, because their scraping by budget had full contributions to retirement accounts, multiple holiday trips, and, you know, extra paid childcare. So yeah, there's a lot of wants rather than needs there. But I've never felt the urge to actually comment on one of his articles until, yeah, of course. And that's because Mr. Dogen, the financial samurai, has started leaning into the whole I need to possibly work again at a regular job, and therefore came out with a list of excuses, shall we call them, as to why that's totally okay. He calls it lessons. I'm gonna gloss over the really superficial lessons, such as legacy is now important to you. Because to be honest, legacy is simply a luxury, i.e. first world problems that people have when they have a lot of room to breathe financially. This has absolutely nothing to do with being early retired, okay? So clearly, financial samurai, like the rest of us scrubby humans, just wanted to pad his word count for one reason or another. But instead, I will focus on what I consider his more explicit lessons in his early, or rather as he calls it, fake retirement, with regards to why he actually might get back to regular work. Okay, I'm going to link the original article in the description below. Anyway, if you're interested in what I might say, please subscribe, like, comment, and share, and all that social media buzzwords, or whatever, because I am rich enough for me and will be great regardless whether my YouTube channel is popular or not. Number one point, he mentions, you know, that in his fake retirement, the idea that still doing productive work should be a-okay, should be a thing that he could pursue, okay? He calls it his retirement, fake retirement, because people love pointing out the fact that he still maintains his blog and has been working on a book or whatnot. This type of attitude or societal feedback really makes me just sigh and laugh at the same time, okay? I mean, writing about finances he enjoys, similar to how I write these little rants on YouTube. So I wouldn't call this as regular work, okay? I'm not knocking Mr. Dogen's chosen term of fake retirement, because I know personally there are just a ton of people out in the world that really somehow wants people like me, who's early retired, to admit that I'm not really retired. It's not me, okay? It's them. They just can't fathom how a non-decrepitly old person could be on cruise control, right? Like the secondary example, Mr. Dogen mentioned he was writing a book, and that certainly sounds like, you know, work, right? Because writing a book, it's not easy, right? People don't just accidentally write a book. Once again, I'd argue that the only people who do or can get through writing a book are people who love the subject matter they're writing on, and possibly also the art of writing. Instead of calling someone fake retired for working on a book of their desire, I would actually take the opposite tack and say, if you're writing a book, are any of you actually really having a regular job at all? Because aren't all book writing passion projects? Of course, maybe that's just me being a contrarian. I get why Mr. Dogen calls himself fake retired. It's just easier to make the doubters feel better, right? And those people are the majority in the world, okay? Point number two that he points out, which is that maybe you will feel the pull of traditional work in the form of, maybe you'll want that office camaraderie. Or as a break, as Mr. Dogan puts it, of being a new dad. Oh my goodness, what now? Okay, the office camaraderie thing, sure, I can understand that. I do miss the social aspect of being in the office a little bit, but not enough, right? And that's why I do some volunteer work at our local library, get my fill of seeing some of the same people, maybe gossip a bit on a regular basis. I just don't need that every single work day, right? That's 5 days out of the week. I do that 1 day out of the week, so it's once a week. Okay, that's enough social chatter for me. Alternatively, there are plenty of other meetups and groups that one can join that doesn't have to be based on having a W-2 type of work-related thing, right? But it's really Mr. Dogan's second reason for wanting to go to the office that just sounds horrendous to me. He's a new parent. He said, well, maybe I want to go to the office just to get away from being a new dad. What? Jesus, if being a dad is taking such a toll out of someone, just so you know, I don't know, go take a stroll, maybe book yourself a massage, or worse yet, why not just go to like a co-working space so you can get away from your children? What a thing to say. I mean, I guess maybe that's because I don't have a kid, so I don't think I would need a new corporate overlord just as an excuse to get away from, children that I presume I was prepared to have. That seems like overcorrecting by a huge, massive leap of logic. No? Am I off on my rockers? Do people out there with actual children all feel this way as financial samurai? I would love to hear about that. Now, point number 3. He mentions that financial needs change over time and it's unpredictable. Now, this one seems actually the most obvious that I would actually agree with as the one takeaway lesson from this whole spiel. Okay, the reality is that the one thing real actual senior retirees have over us early retirees, aka adherents of FIRE, is that old people actually had to have much more life experience, right? In this sense, Samurai and I share something in common because we both early retired when we didn't have any kids in our 30s, right? He's had 2 kids since then. I'm still at a big fat 0 on that count, but apparently this lesson he feels compels to mention, and that I agree with, is just that life circumstances are hard to predict, right? Kids are expensive, that's absolutely true. But kids are relatively able to be predicted, right, and planned for. But there are other things like health scares and accidents that's just as affecting, right, massively. If you're interested in FIRE and have the mental discipline, I know it's tempting to think that life will be how it has been, right, during your accumulation period. But the reality may be very different, right? I got to my FIRE goal in 16 years of working. That is not a short amount of time, but is nowhere near the 40 to 50 years of work most seniors would have put in, right? So as much as I'd like to think I'm well prepared for every eventuality, specifically that I'm financially prepared for it, the real truth is that I know there are still some elements of life that I won't know to prepare for until I get there, right? Until it happens. So we shall see. Just be prepared to expect the unexpected, right? Now, in conclusion, I find it kind of funny that even Financial Samurai might want to get back to real work. Or who knows, maybe he doesn't, and it's just running out of easily categorized ideas to rant about. Same as me, right, in the personal finance sphere. I just know that I won't sugarcoat how free I am, and I will never call myself fake retired, even if I do spend part of my week doing what others might consider work. And while I'd like to think that I have some kind of master plan and how I'd like the rest of my life to work out, the reality is that I know I only have control over, minority aspect of my life, and that's financial flexibility. It's amazing to have it, but it's not everything. We're not in control of our destinies entirely. I don't know how anyone could possibly say that they are, right? The rest I simply leave up to fate, the divine, whatever you want to call them, okay? How about you guys? Are you comfortable letting it go sometimes? Just understand that you're not in control? Tell me in the comments below. Cheers, I'll approach it.